Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Now in today's video we are going to be sharing with you some of our best tips and tricks on how you can score more penalties and how you can win more penalty shootouts. Pretty much 90% of your penalty shootouts you'll be able to win with today's tips. So we are going to be sharing with you plenty of strategies and techniques that you can apply and will help you win more penalty shootouts as you play your games, whether that be in live multiplayer or in offline. So if you do want to continue to support us, then make sure that you hit that like button. Make sure that you subscribe and make sure you turn on notification bell so that you know exactly when we release new content. So let's go over some of the basics. Before when we get into it, some of the strategies when it comes to penalties and how you can become a better penalty taker. Now one of the things you need to do is you need to have best players, better penalties taken by better players, and it taker the easier it is to time your penalties. So let's go on some tips to score more penalties and some of the first things that you need to do now. First up, we would suggest making people wait. Now what do we mean when we say make people wait? A lot of people like to rush. Like you get 3 to 4 seconds. So why does waiting help? Waiting gives you a really good psychological edge over your opponent, because the longer that you sort of leave them hanging, the longer that you wait, take your penalty, you already know might look at your pen and go right. I'm going top right, for example. The longer you leave it, the more your opponent is going to begin to second guess themselves. They might already have a decision on where they're going to dive. They might think, right, I'm going to go the left, and you're already gone to the right. So the longer that you make them wait, they might start second guessing, think, actually maybe I'm going to go left, maybe I'll stay down the middle, and then they start to get confused. They don't know what they're going to do, and it just gives you that little edge you need. So always recommend and we always suggest waiting as long as you can to take your penalties, because like I said, it does give you that edge and it's just going to get your opponent a bit flustered. Question: hey, is this guy going down the middle? Of course, thing like that happen. And power come into it, which we are going into a little bit later on. The power you put on your penalties as well plays a real critical role in whether you score, and also just the psychology of knowing when you're going to score goals and knowing when you're going to say a penalty. Now going into tip number 2, it is something we just touched on. It is making sure that you vary your power. Now why is varying your power when you are taking penalties is so important is because certain power levels really kind of like psychologically tell you your opponent keeper where you're gonna go a lot of the times. When you put, for example, very little power on your penalty. Tip number 3, making people think you're going to do some sort of chip, maybe the chip on the corners or in panenka, which means you're probably gonna go down the middle. But also going sort of with no power really sort of implies that if the keeper just dives the right way, they're gonna save it all time. Even if the keeper dives the right way, you might still score. So making sure, especially in penalty shootouts, that you really vary your power. Sometimes smash into the top corner, but sometimes make sure you just go through a chip.